Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a night of poetry at the Amersham. My name is Kane O'Brien. This is my friend Viktor Hadzhiyski.
Hey!
We got some wonderful... I know, I'm worried every time I try and say it. I try though.
It's a bit of I appreciate it.
We've got some great poets, and we've got a great man right here.
Hello!
Ooh. Whoa. It's my first time using one of these. How's everyone feeling?
Good. Me too. I'm feeling good too. But I stood up and I was thinking to myself, man, there's so few of you tonight. But then I remember it's my first sober show, and for the first time, I'm not seeing everyone double, so that's it. Yeah, well, let's leave my funny jokes aside and welcome the first poet tonight. Give it up for Tabitha. Microphone! We've got it now, we met.
Oh yes, I can hear
We
you.
got creative.
Sorry, actually I'm quite soft-spoken when it comes to microphones. Okay, yeah, this one is called I'm Scared of Writing Love Poems. I'm scared of writing love poems. How could I write about love when I never learnt to love myself, but rather cope with who I've become? Endless nights of heavy heaving infatuation hollowed out my ribcage, and I cannot bear to last another second without you in it. I'm scared of the taste of happiness leaving my tongue and ending up in another man's mouth. He'll steal my protection with the whispers from his lips. Hide my peace in his fists. I'm scared of this warmth being overthrown by a writer's draft. I've never known a fear that which brings you joy, yet since becoming so accustomed to my discomfort. This child of love festers with every good morning, ferments at every good night. I have tended to its needs, feeding its nutrients of dopamine, so if I bear this child, I'm afraid it will carry its last breath as it carries its first. There is delicacy in vulnerability. My words spew out from open floodgates. I will drown you in my affection if you come close. So allow me to be your strange lover. I want you to hold me like I was never there. Watch my love grow for you like an ingrown hair. No matter how many times you pluck from its roots, it will return stronger and fuller. I've begun to see myself into your future. Each sentence must begin with a you and. You and I both knew the dangers of my love, yet I neglected to tell you any more of that fondness. Afraid you'll repel it like the vermin I am, filthy leech draining from you from all your comfort. I'm scared of telling you how much I adore you. I can never say I love you, for I fear I might be lying. Maybe if you leave, this callous heart won't have to suffer any more freezing. That's it. Kane, wherever you are, is it okay if I break the rules just for this one reading?
Yes.
Thank you.
Break the rule!
So, this is one that I just wrote like 5 minutes ago. So I'm testing it out, seeing how it goes. Instead of love, this is about heartbreak. Let's go. It's called With Eyes to Hear and Eyes to See and Ears to Hear. You didn't mean it. That's what you said, you didn't mean it. How can you mean to be with someone you didn't want to be with? It must be fun telling those white lies in a cloud of smoke. You thought I wouldn't recognize the skies from all that fog? I hope you choke on all the things dressed in jeweled robes. The material girl she made me, but I pride myself on so much more than riches. Much more than bags and cars and holidays. What was it like to use her skin as your blanket? The memory of you inside, her moans, your sighs, a rodent squirming is more enjoyable than the 1-minute trip to Maryland. I got what you were saying. I had this message replaying, God, how I'd love to put a hand around your throat, press down so hard the space between your lips and my palm becomes a vacuum, and I don't need to hear your breathing anymore. Don't speak anymore. I'm sick of warming a bed for someone who doesn't need me anymore. Your empty promises are tucked away at the bedside cabinet so I can read them every night to help me sleep. I remember to forget and forget to remember what I didn't see till it's beneath me. Thank you. I'll read one more if I have time for one, that is.
Yes.
Let's see. So, I am going to read about how much I hate myself at 4 a.m. in the morning. At 4 a.m., my mind is an oasis. It's calming. Trees, clouds, space. But I've been wondering for days, when am I going to stop? 4 a.m. thoughts leaves me playing with the dynamics of the voices in my head, hoping one day they will scream at me some sense into me. And each time I'm reminded, I can't wake up. This isn't a dream. The thoughts take the best of me, deciding when the hunter becomes the hunted, shotgun loaded with a precious knowledge of the self-destruction tightly bounded to my skull. They pull the trigger, however, I decide to fall and stay falling. So what doesn't kill me leaves me lying awake at 4 a.m. wishing it had. My mind is possessed by self-contrived monsters which I call my friends, and only at 4 a.m. am I allowed to speak to them again. So sometimes I miss having someone to talk to. Even so, every so often I have to cut ties between my brain and my body. And I don't want to kill the monsters I came close to, rather myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. That was special, to put it in one word. Up next we have, thrown into the deep end, just got here and she's got a slot. It's Paige!
Okay, just start with just a few FAQs. Number one, why are you wearing a hat? Because I had an identity crisis and I bleached my hair. So now I look like Andy Warhol, but that's like some 60 years ago, so the hat is on. Second, where are you from? The middle of nowhere. Actually, it's the middle of everywhere because I'm from between Boston and New York, but I'm from near a blueberry farm in New England in the US. Everybody here knows geography, so I can be very specific. It's called Rhode Island. Third FAQ, why are you moving so much? It's because I've got Tourette, okay? You can't make fun of me because that's not cool anymore. If you see me wiggling, that's why. Now for the poetry. Okay. It's all love poems, I'm sorry, it's very trite. I took to you as tendency does habit, laid bare within a field, not without burden, not alone, as habit begs and tries to plead that I'm the one who started things, and I write in dusty letters my love poems. And so the Wednesday underground does slip. I mention T.S. Eliot, you don't forget the coil of gliding on your fingertip. Again, begin. Poem 2. This one's all about nature. You can tell I'm from a blueberry farm. Okay. Trees breathe crisp air. Flowers breathe honey. I drink them both from life's fine chalice as I muse upon irony. How brief a lifetime we've been given to revel in the gardens. The days go by with the sun in the sky, so time I beg your pardon. But there scarce a day goes by when with the sun's blush I'm not overcome. My cheeks and chest left rosy red. I'll seek hold of earth before I am done. Yet years stole on, Sir Time, I asked for just a handful more. Were I to receive such a gift as these with nature, never would I bore, nor ever would I extort the earth. I would let her come to me. Therein lies no contentment to hide blush behind petals. The flowers sprawl wide, they beg to be seen. Exuberant grace, they smile for days, while the sun goes madly on. With rain, they play ever since, spent game, and wait with morning's rain. The other day, upon my window, I saw a fine-boned little bird, and as upon sill he sat, he sang the loveliest song that ever I've heard. His melody was fleeting, but I sang it every day, a testament to continuity. Each day goes by, gives way to another one, and while a gift, reminiscent, I think back to summers past and now wilted blooms, aged faster than I can track. It's all those flowers, the ones that I glory in, left one day only to the birds and you, the ones who have yet to seek all this earth. Generations pass. Will you hold true to our roots, for we've grown from one another, spread seeds, expanded our family trees. I'll live on one day through this, and I know my parents will live on. Yeah. This is the last one I've memorized. I don't know what the rules are because I'm new here. I have a sheet of paper. Is that A-okay?
It's perfect.
Okay, perfect. That's better than A-okay. I do have this one memorized though. Okay. As the dust motes hang out lowly throughout the air, and I lie in my bed heavy, weighed with care, I ponder asking questions which I prior hadn't dared. So amongst the motes and sunlight, I do know, my dear, we haven't come much farther since we started here. And I've come to find it all rather unfair, that the time that always you beg that I share is the exact same thing which you won't. The words hang in the air amongst the dust. Objectively, I view them as a sign of my mistrust. Responding to the question, only asked through implication, she delivers to me an answer with no sense of hesitation. Well, my dear, you know as well as I try and give you time, but I find myself indulgent now in things far more divine. The words charge through the air and disrupt the hush. My heavy, belligerent heart begins to rush. Hoping to proceed slowly, despite my truculent distress, I subdue irritation, pull my focus to my breath, and though my hands beg purpose of their own, they maintain latent across my chest. But anger-cold ideas spill out messy from my tongue, and they all ricochet off closed-out ears. You listen to no one. And I watch what we've been building begin to shake and become undone. There are things here we've created that came to manifest from fear, and all the dust that settled on the spider webs we've spun become cause for us to notice they've been blocking out the sun, and so for things to settle back into the places they've begun, I seek to speak to you now from a place which is sincere, my dear. Again. Is it, am I still, okay, great, thank you. There's a lot of people here. Not at school, I'm reading. The first dusty notes ring out over the sleeping floorboards, tracing circles in the air. You set yourself with care now to your pensive work. Well, due to this, the stars are getting drunk up in the sky off the liquid, colorless emptiness that overwhelms your cries. Every nook and crevice of your aged brow. Lest anything settled now, it's evaporating soon, so as to lend itself full bloom to an atmosphere of dreamy, lucid, lost and pleased aloneness, seekers taking solace in the stupor dance of a million suns so many ways away, now well imbibed. As it's far past midnight, countless kindred messengers of a tradition much more old than all that we are, and these stars, naughty mischief, cat-like, feline, weaving in and out of long ago and here, meaning now that Einstein's tablecloth gets draped over our tripping moon, and great charming grandmother clocks stop their clicking too, to listen, shh, for just a minute, measured in footsteps instead of seconds, and good faith sat there, alone at the table, shaking his great velvet belly with laughter. Next poem. Somewhere in the back, thank you. Somewhere, this one was written when I was living in a small cabin in the middle of the woods in Massachusetts, which is outside Boston. Right, so I'm trying to tie in the beginning towards the midway point, so this feels continuous. And it was very, very alone, and there were coyotes and stuff like that, and so you're just like left with your thoughts. So it's weird to hear it out loud because it's I guess it's kind of like when somebody plays your life out for you right before you die. Except I'm not dying, but it feels very humiliating, which is when you want to die, so it's like a halfway point, right? Okay. Somewhere in the back of my old room, there's a bowl of sober hallucinatory observations, laced with anxious evenings and frustrations. With the labels peeled back from the brown glass bottles, when I pick them up, they don't shake or shatter, but upon opening up the lid to take a sip, I cut my thumb, and a bloody thumbprint on my left cheek, and then back bang down the stairs head first, out the door and into the street, into the clouds over the edge of the flat earth where every strand of sensibility uncurls, and I dive into the nest until I am wrapped and cuddled by absent-minded, off-the-cuff remarks. And thoughts run in a non-linear fashion. The sky is blue until a point still is not. It's brown and glass now, and I am inside the bottle. Now I am memory. I'm folded over backwards within until I arc so steeply that I curl into myself. I am centralized and densified. The bottle shakes and I rattle around like a marble. Someone is remembering me. And I am trapped in a continuum, halfway there and halfway not. Old poems. I'm going yellow with the paper. Shun responsibility. No, I am confused in no man's land. Okay, that was good.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Absolutely love your stage presence. Thank you. Please give it up for our next poet who has been here a few times. Poppy.
The year. What great things happened in 2011? Not much, to be honest. I think it was the year Catford turned into a snow forest and Kate and Wills got married and we were 1 year away from carrying the Olympic torch, and you were awarded Dad of the Year. The most prestigious effort a man can receive. Fuck all these Oscars and Emmys and grand golden scenes professed to us across the telly. Let's take it back to Dad of the Year. That grand old day you disappeared. Sorry, I'm on it's about this one. Okay. In the naive folds of my cotton subconscious, I rolled around playfully, taking each day as it came until that day came and confused the shit out of me. Where had you gone? Had the wind carried you like the stalks carried me to you upon first birth? Had your bike lost its gears and you'd skid in the dirt? Had you taken a transatlantic flight to find yourself once more? Or had you OD'd on narcissism, the essence of self-pity, and someone found you lying on the floor? Had you tried to call but your phone was too clogged with lost women and dinner receipts? Or had you finally found your feet and weren't jumping house from street to street, so were actually on your way to whisk me away and give me the life I'm supposed to receive? In retrospect, it would be nice to believe all those fantastical stories, to cloud my conscience, to free me from worry, but all I got from Mum that evening in the dying embers of your heated argument was, "Pop, your dad's gone and he's not coming back." From that moment, my soul locked itself away and self-imploded, shooting my heart off in fragments and white sparks like an untamed rocket, and 10 years on I'm still rocked by it, shocked by it, taken aback. Sometimes I wonder if sleepless nights torture you to lay up and think of me too, or if I should turn off those notifications from Boots that come every June 17th. Sometimes I wonder if you had been freed from your secret demons, that you would call me every day and drive me to uni and collect my pots of worries under your big heavy arms where there were no qualms and I used to feel safe. Sometimes I wonder if my teenage heartbreaks would have left me less heart-stained if you were there to save the day. I used to lie on your back as you swam across the pool like the Loch Ness monster in a murky lake. I used to think you were that dad from The Incredibles who could bench 2 lorries, and incredulous claim to make, I used to brag to the kids in school that you were the strongest man I knew. Ironic that, pathetically true. More incredulous thoughts spun from cloths of a fantasy land, but until I find the right ones, I will continue to find a broken love that always needs fixing. I said, I will continue to find a broken love that always needs fixing. And these men are mirrors of their risk-taking demons which lurk around perfect souls and bleed white light until they're empty holes. And you stole my light, and you took it with my childhood and drove off into the night in your Beamer Series 5 and replaced it with a dumb naivety that cracks and crumbles under premature pressures and leaves me guessing at every good instance. I refuse to feel that way anymore, but I can't separate myself from 50% of the whole existence. I'm scared to spend the rest of my life walking past motorbikes and wondering if you're under a helmet, grey and sagged, but still that man I fell in love with. I'm scared to find what real love is for fear I get tricked into giving it away again. I'm scared to write these words for fear I embed more pain in my wounds. I'm scared to paint the scenes and work them through. I'm scared of you. I'm scared of me. I'm scared of all the bad qualities I have creeping up from the deep. I'm scared to address the things I still can't see. And here I stand to speak, still leaking wasted words on you like a lost eulogy. But would I even fill up with grief and dread to find a knock on the door from a stranger telling me your dad's dead? Or would the trauma burn that bit more to find a knock on the door from a stranger but then find that knock is actually yours? Do I give up your ghost or welcome you in? Do I sit and listen to you unravel your sins in sugar coats of sorries and lacings of forgiveness? Or do I crave something sour like the slam of the door in your face? And that's it. So I'm going to talk a bit more about something more positive, like a growing love, which is, a lot better than that. So this one. And you're like the wounded beast, and me, the brunette beauty with her bowl of healing milk, ready to kiss and lick and fill the depths of your wounds at will. Instill a new faith in humanity. A renewed essence of love, watching the doves fly in circles in the whites of your eyes as you try to express how you feel. A mesmerizing trickery intended to avoid the intense but plunge us straight into the messy vents of your thoughts, so in the end there's no easy escape. Only an endless race to navigate each other's hearts and breaks and what makes the other person tick and flick on the light bulb which beckons the wayfaring stranger in for shelter from their own unforgiving stormy weather. A watery glow in a single glass pane window. Raindrops are teardrops watering your soul, cleansing the entrance into all you want me to know. I'm trying to bring my number in. And I want our love to age like fine wine and dusted leather, the kind of love that makes you find hope and light in white feathers, the kind that never tethers to your mistakes but instead tends to the faults made that need to be mended, the kind that makes room for more memories every day by pushing doors open to light a lover's way. The kind that knows what you want to say when you don't know what to say. The kind that stays to hold you in your darkest spots when life makes you want to hopscotch to the nearest hotspot escape route to prove it should all be thrown away. The kind that makes IKEA trips feel like a holiday. The kind that inspires you to write in this way, thinking up lines 100 times a day, slaying in even your... oh my god, this is really bad.
I've got the same problem, don't worry, I'm gonna say yours.
Wait, hang on. Oh, okay, I got it, right. Thinking up lines 100 times a day, the kind that tells you you're slaying it even in your... Sorry. The kind that says, I'll pay for it so you know you'll get the next one. The kind that ain't afraid to trip and fall and risk it all for a real one.
Thank you very much, Poppy. That was excellent. A round of applause, please. Up next we have, making her Amersham Arms debut, Zane. Welcome.
Can everyone hear me? So my name's Jane, and I just want to say that was amazing, and that poem at the start really, really touched me, so thank you for sharing. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a poem that I've written recently, and it's called Poetry, and I wrote it after being at a show like this, and I was just so inspired, and I just felt like I needed to write about poetry. She reminds me what love should feel like, whether that message is received instantly or through the grapevine after in-sync metaphors and melodies. She makes me question the use of drugs as remedies, when her aura in any room is not just an antidepressant, but makes me want to start a campaign called Anti-Depression, where I write against all the times I laid back in bed, thinking that this is happening because happiness teaches no lessons, but she teaches well, dampens my eyes when they swell. She's the reasons for all my repercussions. I won't apologize for the words, she just gets me like, no one gets me like that. I'm tired of explaining myself to blank faces when all I've ever needed is blank pages. I could stand up on stage with no smiles in the crowd, but once I speak, I hear poetry scream out loud. My biggest supporter, not the only one, but she has true intentions, and she'll ask if I've written today, if I'm feeling okay, if the words that she puts in my mouth make me taste her the same, sometimes bittersweet, but poetry has never failed to call me at night and message me in the morning. She's always there giving me the love I've always wanted. And just to let you know, this is my book. You can follow me on Instagram at Jar's Poetry, and I have bought a few copies of these. If you do like what you hear, you know, support if you want to. And this one, thank you. This one is called Family of Warriors. I saw struggle in my family become an accessory. In tough times, we felt chained to the shade the devil was throwing us, and in rough times, we had neck laced with pain. I had to brace myself and let the rocks fall, because in the end, I know I'll walk out of the battlefield wearing no jewelry at all, like my mum, who collects antique paint in a jewelry box but never dips low enough to wear it out, to cry out loud to the public eye. I mean, I've seen her form. With each fall, I've seen a new horizon created for me, because I endured the struggle as much as she. Maybe second hand, but it's hard when your first hand has her heart buried in the sand and her head fighting expectations. So at the age of 9, you build your own clan. That's me. Independency was always key. Being dependent on others is what made me weak. And I guess I'm saying it's time for me to pull back, because in times of need, that's always when support lacks. So I'll be my own foundation, bricks and plastering. When I cut my arm, I'll be the one to put my own plaster on. I'll tend to my own needs before trying to be everyone else's piece, because when the tables turn, I'm not even given a chair but expected to bring food to feed, whether it comes in the form of knowledge or mac and cheese. But I need to save myself, and I need to eat. They say never bite the hand that feeds you, and that's why I've come back to writing, because my hand grew back now. Here's my sequel. And this last poem is the first poem I ever performed on stage at the age of 15. I'm 18 now. And this is called Anxious Feet. I used to stand tall, as if my cemented skin could shelter anyone who passed by. I believed so passionately that the warmth of my heart could feed hungry mouths, and my tears would quench people's thirst. I also thought that if I made a home out of my body, people would find comfort in my presence. The window panes of my eyes called to those to make themselves at home, so they did, soul by soul, travelling through any entrance they could find, whether they boarded my thoughts or became musicians with the instruments of my emotions. This was my purpose, to be a safe place, to be a shelter, for someone to call me home, and I loved it. Each tenant acted like a piece of furniture, a portrait, a vase, curtains, anything that would make me whole, anything that made it appear as though someone lived here. Whether my guests were permanent or temporary, I remained a dehumanized house, until the day the vase smashed, the portrait shredded, and the curtains fell to reveal no one lived here. From there it began. Chains tugged on my tongue, stunting the growth of the rose that should have blossomed in that vase. Scratches bury themselves in the smile of the woman in the portrait. The curtain rail snapped in two from the weight of the burdening curtains. Then I heard a noise, so I grabbed the closest weapon and traced the damage, tallying the things they had stolen. Beauty, happiness, strength. The smashed vase meant that my beauty could no longer be determined by the growth of that beautiful rose. I need that rose. The cracked smile can no longer frame as my smile, for that portrait reflected onto the crevices of my lips and made people feel welcome. I need that smile. Those curtains hid the void. No one knew emptiness is what made me whole until the weight got too much and my strength snapped. I need those curtains. Another noise. Who dare strip me bare and reveal my flaws to the world? Anger pulsated through my veins, screaming into my blood, raising my weapon to the silhouette that stood before me. I was armed, ready to take on whatever had stolen my facade. Footsteps began to taunt my frustration, whispers began to torment my intelligence, until it finally revealed itself, making such a subtle entrance that it caused sweat to engulf my palms. A stutter to sit on the edge of my tongue, and a tornado of panic to further demolish what could have been beautiful, happy and strong. It came closer, deeper into my existence, breathing down my neck, circling me, chanting omens, incarcerating my thoughts, and montaging my nightmares right before my eyes. But then something connected in the core of my adrenaline, and I remembered. I still had the weapon. Anxiety vanished. As soon as it saw, cradled in my hand, was a pen.
Thank you. And I hope we're a home for all of you tonight. I hope you're all cozy. And with that, I'd like to welcome our next poet on the stage. You might know him. It's Karen.
It's on. I'm going to read a couple of lines I did last time, not quite jovial one. It's about how drunk me and my friend, my best mate, used to get how we decided on how and when. It's called White Girl Wasted. So we look at each other and say, how far are we going tonight? With a glint in our eyes, the wry smile, we're getting white girl wasted. We pull our stockings to our knees, smear mascara across our puffy faces. With piss knickers around our ankles, we're getting white girl wasted. We put on our best sexy outfits and we tear holes in our dresses, throw up Lamborghini sick all down our fronts. We're getting white girl wasted. We haven't even made it to the door, and we stumble around with broken heels, with bouffant hair and smashed nail polish. We're getting white girl wasted. And the next day, we wake up with no recollection. The past night is lost forever. We don't care, we don't mind, because we got white girl wasted. And this one's about when you go out to the pub and it's closing time and everyone's lost to know what to do next. And nobody has the nerves to kind of go, alright, let's go back to mine. Called the post-pub purgatory. We've all been kicked out early, dropped from heaven into the post-pub purgatory. We can hang around and chat till late, but someone must grab the noose, cut it loose, cast it down towards someone else's hell home, where the party can progress and connections are made concrete, where love is found with lovable rogues and beautiful people, which is friendships made, along with mild disagreements to intense arguments which soon dissipate. So there's no sense in staying in the post-pub purgatory. The pub was a haven, now let's go to Sodom and Gomorrah on the morrow. We all want this thing to happen, but our houses are ill-prepared, so we saunter off to the 24-hour off license, talking wandering gibberish as we go. We make a few uncoordinated decisions and flail jauntily into someone's hell home, where the merriment is often polite, finding the spot is often a romantic game of musical chairs, finding the bathroom is a fun adventure, and taking your shoes off is down to the host. But now it doesn't matter. We are no longer in the post-pub purgatory. This one's called Weeds and Wasps, and it's a little bit more delicate. Flowers are often out of focus when you don't see like the bumblebee. You're searching so hard for the pollen, you won't see how far you have fallen. When you're bored and looking for the pollen, yes, it was pollen 3 times. It's to remind you how far you can fall into the hormone-polluted pollen. The reason being is a flower will only flower when the roots are warm, and when the sun sleeps, the moon sings warm lullabies. So the flower can sleep to rise tomorrow, when the pollen is dusted from its eyes, and you can see the brilliant, reviving sun. The flower gets ready for this warmth after this winter. It's been another year, another time after sleep so long, it feels like the groundhogs are playing tricks. But this is another day as the flower stretches, as the heroic weeds have ensured the ground is safe, as they are pulled from the flower beds. They have whispered longingly into their friends' stems, keep me by your side, or keep you warm in winter, and any other time, cultivate the soil for you. You shall attract the bees, I shall take the bugs, and the wasps will come to help. We are the bouncers for the beautiful flower show, all alike, weeds and wasps. This one is one I did the other day about trying to get cigarettes when you were a kid. Can you get us kids a pack of fags? Can you blame them when chocolate cigarettes were a thing? As you hop from corner shop to dodgier areas, hoping to find in destitution you'd find lower morals. Someone to buy you, funny how a youngster has you in it. When you, the youngest, would be led to steal from your rents, from your mates, and if you're lucky, you wouldn't have to steal, your family would deliver, believing you would never stick with such vices. It's an old one. There's so much distance between here and now, unquantifiable increments that are dumbed down. We put into blocks, moments, and memories, and then in an instant, the distance has vanished. When a certain smell or taste tied to an emotional response makes it all disappear. How can we say that we matter in reality? Why do we need to believe that we're all right? When the lights go dark, and if everything truly aims for equilibrium, then surely all there should be is nothing. But there's always something, isn't there? And if it's all a game, then it's a fucking goodbye. No real choice over your starting character. No real idea of what you really want. No real choice when you have to make decisions. In such an infinite space, we trudge. Desperation, or is it aspiration? So when the clock face gives you the finger, think of the moment you're in. Think of the moment you are in. Think of how many moments fit in that moment, and know it's all precious, and whatever the next moment is, it won't, but could, be your last.
Thank you very much, Darren. That was brilliant. And now up next we have a Stonewall for our nights of poetry. Kyra.
So I've been here a few times before. It's really nice to see everyone who I've before leaving. It's just so talented. It's fantastic. Alright. I'm going to start with one I did before, but it was a while ago. I saw you on TV. I like the way you turn the tables. Power eyes behind blades of mascara. The world wrapped around your pinky finger, and you never even had to raise your voice. Maybe we could be in love. Laugh and defeat evil. Make breakfast and dissolve corrupt systems of power, kissing hot and heavy, heartbeats like drums of uncommon vengeance. I know you're not real, but that just means our love will never die, even though you did in season 6. Screenwriters being the only boys you couldn't defeat, exploited with a death you didn't deserve. But that's okay, so I'll just keep watching the first 5 seasons, imagining breakfast with you as you leave them all wanting. Sitting in this waiting room, my heart ticks along with the clock second hand. My throat swallows acid. I'm restless, she's placid. I've inherited hands that shake and fists that leave behind broken plaster, broken thoughts racing faster and faster, as tongues stick in dry throats, chests sinking like a newspaper boat. She thinks if she breathes in a little further, she'll be able to curl her hand under the edge of her ribs, soothe her heart like a raceless baby in its crib. The clock continues to tick. My stomach churns out breath smelling like vomit. The doctor, carefully sanitized, pierces me with weary, roaming eyes, cloaked in distrustful expression, asking questions with meticulous obsession. She writes endless X's in the charts. I've inherited white coats and stethoscopes, cannot find what is hiding inside. A million prescriptions and counting, all those diagnoses amounting to nothing but shaking hands and clenched teeth, bones rattling in unease like pills and pill bottles, heart on full throttle, driving over another cliff. The women in my family are plagued by a curse. Hopeless to fight it, but we keep on trying. Sharp edges or full glasses or tar in our lungs, getting to know the texture of a stranger's tongue, still shaking, crumbling, and breaking with useless pills and useless pill bottles. On some nights, I hear my mother's uneven breathing. I know she's not sleeping. I wonder if, a million miles away, my grandma in her grave is feeling the walls of her coffin close in and concave. her breathing so shallow, saliva that's suddenly too thick to swallow, all of the women restless in unspoken solidarity, pacing our quarters in blind familiarity. My doctor fills white paper with blue nonsense scribbles. In her mind, she dribbles my words, attempting to separate fact from fiction, attempting to pinpoint my strange affliction. I am a butterfly, pinned to a board, questioned again and again on my imperfect record of events of my past. And what do they mean? In this clinical space, there's no room for interpretation of dreams, star signs, or tea leaves. How do I tell her I no longer believe in a way out? I've inherited shaking hands and bright eyes, lips that easily form lies through clenched teeth. According to my linealogy, my time here will be brief. But a curse is a curse, and I'll simply smile and dance as it gets worse.
All right, cool. Hello. Talking about TV series crushes. Anyone else have a crush on Anna Taylor-Joy from, you know, the Queen's Gambit? There we go! I knew it. I wasn't the one. Just, whew. Anyway, this is probably not the forum to discuss this, but yeah. Sorry. Aislinn? Please,
I'll say.
please welcome our next poet with a big round of applause.
Hi, I'm Aisling, like Aisling B. You know her. Do you mind if I turn down the music a little bit? Is that okay? I just feel like it'll distract me. I feel like I need someone to ask that question.
Do it.
Can I?
Yes, please.
I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can. Just turn it down a bit. Sorry. Sorry, Miss Lucy. It'll just put me off. Yeah, go on. Sorry, guys. Yeah, okay. So I'm Aisling. Thanks for being here. It's my birthday. It's my 30th birthday today. So I was born in 1992. I'm going to pretend I spent the last 2 years of my life traveling the world and spending time with my friends indoors without masks on. But that's not what happened. Instead, in the lockdown, I did a writing course, and part of the course I had to write some poetry. And I wrote a collection of poetry called Millennial Spinster. So you can kind of guess kind of where I was in my mind while being trapped inside a house for an entire year in Bristol. Bristol's great, like, it was a good spot. It's so, no, I can read it, it's good. So I'm Irish, if you haven't guessed already. And the first poem I'm going to read is a sonnet. And the sonnet I wrote about the council estate that I grew up in the 90s in the suburbs of Dublin, where we were very poor and rough as fuck, and so happy because we didn't realise how poor we were. And I have so many fond memories of that estate, even though it's like notoriously dangerous, which I wasn't aware of while I was there. So this first poem is called The Cul-de-sac of Deer Park. At first, we grew as dandelions do, sprouting like newborns from furrowed cement, our underbellies sewn to tarmac thrones, clinging to the crust of a window ledge. We lit the fire in our bellies with coal, bore by men who left their footprints after, sliced scars with rubber skids into the road, and doctored nettle stings with our laughter. It is true that hindsight grows as oaks do. When they planted us in more fertile ground, knowing that those who see others in bloom will bloom themselves, I still remember how my cheeks were hot and flush with tears as fate weaned me off my beloved council estate.
going to let you look that up afterwards. When I was living in Bristol and I wrote this poem, it was middle winter and a robin moved into our garden and like set up her nest underneath the shed. And because we were in a pandemic and stuck inside the whole time, we got to watch this robin like build a nest, lay her eggs, and then have her babies like in our garden. It was like right by our window. And it was like this really like amazing kind of thing where every day we'd see the robin and we create this relationship with her. And at the same time, our street, our row of houses, made international news because all at one time, 6 women living on the same street, on the same row in Bristol, all became pregnant. Because that's what people do when they're in a pandemic. So I was kind of sitting on this road where everyone was having babies, watching a robin make her babies, thinking about what that all means for me. So this is my poem about that. It's called The Robin. In my back garden sits a robin's nest, tucked beneath a terracotta shed, raw winter branches hung overhead. The swell of spring has yet to burst, and the first bleed of tulips still have 1 more month to bear before their petals please a passing child. It seems each woman I see is with child, and winter's darkest months have been a nest for lovers who sought lighter ways to bear the restless rain and wind pelting them raw, by giving hissing pipes a chance to bleed in blissful, balmy embraces. The swell of breast perhaps helped other things to swell. Is it just me upon spying her child who wonders, did your nails cause skin to bleed to forge this offspring? Was your hair a nest upon your head as you rode his nerves raw? Did gasping at cotton fists help to bear pleasure's growing weight, eyes like a wild bear's, tearing from the heat of his flesh, the swell of climax coming, your fat thighs red raw like raspberries? Did you think of a child? I pondered this beneath my robin's nest, and how, unlike them, I will shortly bleed, and how it has always been that I bleed, though motherhood remains a cross to bear. There are expectations that I will nest with a man one day. My stomach will swell with emotion at the thought of a child. My body will be ravished, pillaged raw by the labor, the frills of my throat raw from screaming, filled with fear that I will bleed to death at the mercy of a suckling child. The thought of it, almost too much to bear, likens to drowning, trapped amongst the swell. Instead, I watch the robin and her nest. My body is a nest, raw with monthly lust and thirst to swell up and cheat the bleed. It is my mind that will not bear the child. So this next one is about being a woman, being a daughter, being a mother, and the generational patterns that happen living in this patriarchal world that we're in at the moment, in case you hadn't noticed. So this one is called Women's Work. She cast me in the shadow of a sun, with wisdom gifted kindly by the moon. She slaved her knuckles raw till she was done. My heart beats to the rhythm of her drum, and she begot the soil from which I bloomed. She cast me in the shadow of a sun within a swollen belly. I first swum as life begun for me within her womb. She slaved her knuckles raw. Till she was done with work, she would not look upon her young. Safety was the scent of her perfume, but she cast me in the shadow of a sun. She made the woman I have since become, and I have loved me more than any groom. I've slaved my knuckles raw till I am done, looking beyond my body, growing numb, womanhood's an unsatisfactory plume. They cast us in the shadow of a sun. We slave our knuckles raw till we are done. Okay, last one I promise. Since the last one is called Holy Water, which in Irish or Gaelic is Ishkavaha. That's what holy water is in Irish, but also that's what we call whiskey in Irish. So in Ireland, if you ask for ishkavaha at the bar, you say, like, can I have some holy water, but they'll serve you a whiskey. But anyway, so this poem kind of reminds me of like growing up in Catholic Ireland and sort of that sensibility. Yeah, and it's very much the millennial spinster in me speaking. Right, okay, last one, it's short and sweet, okay. Sunday demands a wedge of rest, a whiff of warmth for threadbare bones. The waning clock is surely blessed in how the measure seems to slow. A whiff of warmth for threadbare bones. A whiskey keeps the belly lit, and how the measure seems to slow the lick of fire within the pit. A whiskey keeps the belly lit with turf and coal and sprigs of hope. The lick of fire within the pit softens this lonesome misanthrope. With turf and coal and sprigs of hope, the waning clock is surely blessed. For a soft, lonesome misanthrope, Sunday demands a wedge of rest.
Thank you so much. I've just got one thing to say. Fucking hell, I'm so glad I'm not a woman. Well, just wanted to announce the break. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. Is that all right for everyone? Let's do it. Yeah? All right. Thank you, everyone. How we doing? I'm feeling so much better. I had to wait for everyone to finish before going to the bathroom. Yeah, feeling a lot legit. Don't know why I'm telling you. But anyway, I want to welcome a special someone on the stage. I want you guys to please give him a big introduction because he's feeling a bit tender tonight. He stayed a bit late yesterday. But anyway, give it up for Ethan! Hello? Okay. Yeah, Viktor's totally right. I feel rough as shit today. I had a proper lame one, but anyway. So, it's not too long. It's quite a short poem, so you can get out swiftly. But basically, it's I don't know. It's a sad poem about getting left behind. Yeah, right. It's called Behind as well, by the way. I took a lonely walk home from the train station the other day because that's where a lover left me. I took one last look at those eyes, and before I could even say goodbye, she turned around and showed me her behind. It's not the kind of behind where you're like, whoa, she's so deep, man. I wonder what's hiding behind those eyes. And not the kind of behind where you're like, whoa, look at her behind. I just want to grab it and slap it because Becky, yes, she's a savage. But this girl is a savage and she tore my heart into 1,000 pieces like she was working for fucking Reese's. This girl is one of a kind. This behind is one of a kind and it stays in my mind because it's the kind of left behind that feels like I just shoved both my hands in 2 angry beehives. I swear that my hands are only shaking because it's cold. I should have listened to what I was told and all my mates said, don't fold, man. But I thought if I stayed bold then she would be mine, but all I got was left behind.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Pleasure as always. And up next, this big fellow over here, Mr. Neil O'Brien. Woo!
Dancers and chancers and gamblers answers. Listen and learn to the country turn. But what a role we know. We play with gold. Fake as be, if you haven't can see. Me against me. A chance a lot, a win a loss. A few that feeling we see no cost. But a chance are all the way. This game we play. Feel great when we're in, pain and sin. But when away, always on, string up dogs, a bet the sweat, there's the fucking net. But none of this is real. The lies, the ties, oh there's the fucking size. Stay well clear. For gamblers' answers, no fear, always a win. Stay fucking clear. Manipulation is always there. It's really something a bit newer than something. I watch clouds go past. For now I can breathe. My mind is free, open, alive. I can see. I lie upon the moon, for it's just for me. This wondrous night surrounds such all living things to be. I dance upon making stars for everyone to see. Music, love, beauty, in front of me. Believe not, believe still. Freedom is for all. Do what our targets to tell us and walk our souls to wall. Do not be afraid. Do not care of how we are supposed to be. Is my belief, my friends, just say for I have been. As I see lines in front of me, they're up to roads I cannot see. Surprise, shot, and danger be. I'll see my road, but always free. My heart stays strong through pain. Slowly build my bitter journeys. Pain and heart slowly stain. And love can conquer everything. Stay the course, fate the lanes. As I look back old and grey, I shall only see beauty ray. Faces of care, love and smiles. Times of laughter, always trials. Experience guides are so long, against all the fucking wrong. I hope your road shows no dark and light shines through every arc. There is a sunny day on every card for just how I know it's hard. I hope you get lucky cards. My love can cover all the scars.
Thank you. Hey, what you laughing there? Who's laughing? Who's laughing? We've got our next poet. Please welcome Lucien. I'm horrible with names. I'm so sorry.
I'll take it. No, I'm happy.
I owe you a drink. After this whole thing is over, come find me. I owe you a drink.
I'll take it with me out. If I can't do my
Of course.
To be honest, I'm used to just sort of yelling across the room, so if this is working, then that's fantastic.
Is it working for you guys?
So I've been thinking a lot about my grandparents recently. I watched my Italian grandma, my nonna's funeral. It was a Zoom funeral, but it was beautiful. It was in this gorgeous Italian church with all this lovely music, and it made me feel really like deeply rooted to my Italian heritage, and I just felt that. So this poem is called Bears. A woman died today who had my name, Lucia, not Lucia. And her smell was sunshine worn, hard work and sweat. I press my face in deep and breathe her in during the summers when we drive somewhere on the road. And Nonna would be there with open arms to grab my cheeks and feed me with her love. She taught me how to make pasta from scratch. I'd watch her chickens eat and peck and hatch, and kittens bounce across the patio, under trees, marble tables where we sat, on afternoons where meals and conversation flowed. All these memories are sturdy, strong, and yet her scent is what is stuck. I won't forget.
walked down supermarket aisles and watched my mother's nose press deep in memory. Pear-scented soap. My mum recalls that Grandma loved it. She said she shares it now with me. Precision in her work, her cross-stitching. She'd offer endless paper, coloured pencils, all pristine. And my own bookcase. She's why I love to read. My grandma brought me my first poetry. Her love for a steady flow, not always seen, but subtle appreciation, pressed and clean. Two halves, so different and so out of key. One pair, so key and deeply part of me. Perfection crossed with something animal. I am homegrown and someone I will love. And I went through a phase in my early 20s where I suddenly realised that pink was great and it was okay to wear pink, and I called it the Pinkening. So I was like, I can be feminine, this is great. And yeah, thank you, because it was a big thing. And this one's called Soft Enough. Now that I'm brave enough, still afraid but have enough guts to go out without fear, I douse myself in bubblegum pink. Head to toe, because I'm not afraid of being like other girls, doe-eyed, allowing myself to take pride in my softness. Soft light, soft bundle. Sorry. Soft, thanks. Soft light, soft bundle of a body. So now I'm hearts and lace and forcefully feminine. I will dot my eyes with hearts and wear a spare on my sleeve. So I can really live up to all and every one of those perfect cliches I denied myself for years. Fearful of softness, because soft leaves space for a stranger on a bus to slide his hand under your soft thigh in that silent space where no one would believe you anyway. And you find there's hardly any space left for softness. But you keep it, held close, a creature, tense in your lap, until slowly, but surely, it learns to trust again, to stay soft enough.
Thank you once again, and Tristram, straight away, let's go. Woo! Hello. So I've been writing a bunch of poems lately about a character called the Wraith, who's a kind of morally dissolute, possibly immortal dandy. And you shouldn't trust a word he says. This is the Wraith's apology. Darling, let me lay it at your feet. Can we turn the music down slightly?
Yeah, it's really...
Can I just... Is that okay? The Wraith's apology. Darling, let me lay it at your feet, blinking and soft, a helpless little fox cub huddled inside a gingham picnic basket on a cold night on your doorstep, the fog a clean slate, no sign of the coming flurry, the never-ending blizzard. Do not worry. Though it may break things, let it be your dog. Snowed in, you'll feed it steak tartare and brisket, its licked clean bowl the colour of false love, of the ice outside the window, of its teeth. Yeah, short poems mainly. Okay, this one is a bit about the Wraith's life story. This poem is quite pretentiously entitled From the Unauthorized Biography, Volume 4, 1730 to 1960. He spent 12 decades polishing his craft, studiously darkening the floorboards in dens of moderate iniquity, or decorating red light district windows with his gold reflection. Hand in hand with syphilis and debt, he whiled away 10 years in private plain or padded cells, then out again into the brittle evening. Pockets rich with laudanum, neglected correspondence, old French letters, borrowed neckerchief and snuff box, borrowed pearls. The latest melancholy smile affected daily in his little shaving room. After a lifetime of these skits and turns, playing to the gallery each evening and to the private boxes every night, like a slow, malignant growth around him, unnoticed, the world began to change. Years pass. He lurches up the gilded stair from cad to rogue, to fiend, to devil, till, tripping on national treasure, he alights breathless on the upper landing. Myth. And like all myths, not quite the thing it was, elevated now to something less than truth, he grows familiar, a click, a whir, the tired back and forward whip of drying Polaroid, and in no time to speak of, his name dissolves, a sugar cube relaxing into absinthe. All politeness, the rake agrees to sign his photograph, tussling the ringlets of the youngest fan, kissing the ringless fingers of the eldest, and all the while remembering the tale of how the pampered fox became the dog, and Narcissus in winter, how he watched his own reflection as it turned to us. Yeah, so I might give you two more of these, if that's all right. This one is, I think it's a poem called Speculative, where it flips halfway through, and all of the lines in the second half, the lines in the first half, and the reverse order. Yeah, this is called The Rake Packs Up His Troubles in an Old Kit Bag and Smiles, Smiles, Smiles. Holding things, I found, was holding me up. So nowadays I'm mostly empty-handed, bearing nothing but the stitched shoulder strap to this, my dashing health leather holder, the mark of a life spent all over. These last few years or so, I've gathered nothing that would make it stretch or crack. Nothing. That's what made it stretch and crack all over these last few years. Or so I've gathered, for leather holds all the marks of a life spent with shoulders strapped to this, my dashing hell. Hunted, bearing nothing, I've been stitched up, so nowadays I'm mostly empty, holding things I found were holding me. One last point here, which is, this was basically one night on one a kind of deep. Does anyone else do the thing of falling into a kind of Wikipedia wormhole? You're finding out about a thing you've never heard of. So I ended up on the Wikipedia entry for every variety of horse-drawn carriage, and the names of them are terrific. And so I kind of wanted to fold as many of these types of carriage into this poem, The Rake's Carriage. By which I do not mean my gait, not my bearing, but what bore me. If it bored me, I'd another by the time the hooves had stopped. A bounder goes on 4 wheels, and a handsome man on 2, so what was I? A sphinx of 4 in hand at morning, 2 by day, and every night the 3-horse shay. I'd flit from whim to whiskey, bandy to Berlin. My every car a jaunting car, I'd spin the wheels and win the world, my ostler's oyster, a sweet amuse barouche. Somewhere between the calabash and carriole, I traded fly for drag. My predators took up the chase, reined in the dos-a-dos and hit the brake. I saw 8-legged tarantasses in my dreams, and woke inside the Britzler flying coffin. When even that was gone, I'd nothing but this stick-thin spider fatal, and a sidling crabwise jingle entirely peculiar to Cork. These days, my friend, I'd rather walk.
you once again. And, I don't know, Lawrence, please.
Hey!
Wish you a good year. It's the prospered steeds. Prospered steeds, where do you go? Fortune engineers your hooves. Hear you the fife? Beat them the drum. Those glory riders that hold thy gilt reins. Who are these stout knights that guide you home? Bring me to the safety of that heavenly stable. When does this parade end, the battle commence? Raise me to your lofty saddle. When am I ready? After legs that walk, learn to ride. If broken hearts, prepare to mend. That's that. This is about a romantic muse. It's called Chatterton Comes. There's a stone head gazing in my window, his watch so stern and serene. There's a blue sky fading into nighttime, stars lose their lively gleam. I see his trousers a brilliant blue, frayed toward the end. He taps and raps, he beckons I come, from the spirits he calls, a message I send. I seek no message, not today, for I am tired, need the rest. That stone head shook, his once glazed eyes now deathly sunken. Sleep won't come to you indolent, for now there is a test. They brought it me before I died, and poison left me ghostly drunken. The spirits knew my clock had wound, but failed to make me see. Now it seems you are the same, your anchor's gone to ground. They want to know what ails you, what keeps your destiny. Time waits for no man, and no lover waits for me. When I am lonely, I am no one, and no place I am here. This is why, dear head, that dreams turn to the sea. Walking faded gilded towns, where rusted light appear, I think on all the dreams, all my failings, and all the dreams now lost to me. That ghoul's head laughed, its cold lips made a dreadful sneer. I don't believe a word you say, it doesn't take long to see a liar. You're in bed with another, what made you think love would stay? You're the one that lit the match, you put yourself upon this pyre. Look to yourself, there's something else that others seldom share. The spirits come to tell you this, and wish to break your idle snare. You will find it across time, on an island further yonder, but it's not for your thoughts to keep, you have to touch and bear its burden. It's the path you know to follow, it isn't one that you can wander. There is no carriage you can buy, every step is one you earn. Forget love now, it is not lost, but if you do not raise from a pillowed nest, and the spirits hope for you, the spirits hope for you, for they fly without you. There you will need to pay the one true cost before you gain your laureled crest. The gale roared, the head was gone, and my romantic phantom muse has now left to candlelight to chart the path I choose. Thanks. Sorry, my handwriting is Arabic, as my grandmother once said, so it's very hard for me to read. Here's a fun shipping rhyme. Fat boy, silly boy, small boy, me, in our boat across the sea. Even the albatross avoids our fate. The fat boy slimy becomes my first mate. He slithers and sloshes across the deck. His nasty parrot gives me a peck. The bird takes the small boy's eye and fatty makes it into a pie. Silly boy can dance, but it seems quite odd, so I ram his bottom with my rod. Fishing is my vocation, don't you know, since that seahorse came and claimed my big toe. I hunt him to this day, I'm Captain I, my question friend is hard to find. Our ship approaches an island yonder, and in my dreams my spirit wanders. Is this the land of Circe's fame, whose sex appeal ignites my flame? No, but still we find us pigs, and from their hair so nymphic wings. Perhaps the island be off the fly, and fat first mate will fill my pie. I am the lord, I am the captain, and God forsake me unto the chaplain. But the sea salt haze awaits my slumber. Inside my shorts is morning lumber. I'm in my bed of silken sheets, and in the air sing parakeets. There was no ship, silly or small, I must have only dreamt them all. But what's that in the mirror? What's this I see? It's fat boy first mate, and yes, it's me.
want a few. Yeah, I want a few. Yes. I've got one. I could have done it.
Thank you. Lovely, lovely stuff. I want to welcome a dear friend of mine, dear friend of mine onto the stage. Please give it up for Kane.
And there's times when you really want to do the right thing. But you just want that bit of trifle all to yourself. And part of you wants to share it with everyone in the family, everyone in the street. Watch them all smile and delight at the flavors of the cream and the custard. But sometimes you just want it all to yourself. And maybe that's alright. My mom told me I couldn't be everybody's hero, so I shouldn't worry. But then I worried about it. And then there's times when you really want to make some love, and others when you really want to, And when times you want the whole to swallow you whole. And maybe that's alright too, because if you're feeling pretty good, what's really left to do, except smile and lick the dirty spoon all by yourself. Thank you. And this next one now, I didn't quite write it, but my mother used to read it to me all the time when I was a kid, and I came across it recently in a charity show, and I figured, why not? The owl and the pussycat went to the sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh lovely pussy, oh pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, you are, what a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the balm tree grows. And there in a wood, a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your pig? Said the pigging, I will. So they took it away, were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, and they ate with a runtable spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced in the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. And this one now, I find every Christmas they seem to be different each year. As you get older, you find yourself more, I don't know, looking in. And I went out for a walk on Christmas Eve. Everybody had gone to sleep. And usually in my childhood, I would have been asleep too, but I couldn't sleep. Ah, the moon, the smiling face of the night sky. The night sky's smiling face. He looks at me and I can't help it. I bite. I stare straight back. It's Christmas, he screams with snowballs in his eyes. What's there to be said, he said with a grin. Everything you'll need is safe home within. Well, that's awfully easy, I said. To say the same thing should somehow be dead. I'm sure all the joy I'll need will be in my head, but there's so much to see and there's so much to do. There's days when the toaster just toasts, the toaster just right. How can heaven not be near with a sight just as this? And don't you know that God is one of the boys from home? And how can I not be grateful at the taste of a kiss? So, oh moon, oh my friend, you say there's nothing to say. But there's a lot to be said for the sext, I guess. Because sometimes a whisper is as good as a tongue. And sometimes getting older feels better than being young. And in the end, it's usually better just to get a bit ahead, because I will admit, it's always better to have done than to have said. And so I said all this to the moon. I could tell he was going to leave me soon, replaced by that weird friend who I couldn't really look at in the eye. So moon, my friend, we seem to be at an end. Will you live to see the day? It really all depends. And if you would talk now, we could really make amends. But I must admit your silence doesn't get this muddled and this bent. Because sometimes silence can feel like the truth. For words are so good but so used. And for all the joy that's to be found in screaming, paradise is a shh and a ah. And I said enough for everyone, so I better go. But one more thing though, bro, in the end, I could really do with fiber. Any chance of that? And so with that, my dear and silent friends, I went to wreck the head of someone else instead.
Oh.
Thank you. And it's my great privilege to introduce my great friend. We go way back. And it's an honor, buddy. Welcome to the stage, man. Round of applause, please. Give me a few minutes to adjust. Well, no, minutes.
Whoa, cameras as well. I'm getting shy.
We leave the shaming for after the show, Rosie. I'm a bureaucrat. We don't do the standing up part. We do it sitting down, otherwise the world stops working. So, this first poem is about being an immigrant. And yeah, it's in 3 parts, and the first part is departure. Trouble back home demanded change. Like a leaf blown from its tree too early, I left home on a gloomy morning. I can still remember my crying grandma waving me off, understanding the situation a lot better than I did. She weeps on departure every time, and I dread the moment she's not there to cry for me any longer. Just like the old dog that's not there anymore, to greet me in frenzied excitement, hump my leg and lay down next to me when I stumble home drunk. Things were to change, no other way around. I was excited, new life in a place I've romanticized for years, big city buildings and people larger than life. Instead, the next 4 years were a blur of bad jobs, not fitting in, and people a lot smaller than my expectations. It's all a blur now, just a detail poking through the haze here and there. But that's the way it usually goes with expectations. Time in the big city was a lot different back home. My day here has suddenly turned into a month there, and before you know it, it's been a year. Time in the big city. Even the clouds moved faster. I guess the first time I knew things weren't quite like home was when I met two drunk girls on a Saturday. I woke up and tried to strike a conversation. They gave me the weirdest, most hurtful look. Like I was there to kill or rob them. Madness. All I wanted to do was talk and get to know them. I know different now. I understand. There are people in the big city willing to turn you over for half a burger and no fries. Even then, shortly after my departure, I was reminiscing about home. Questions like, had I just planned from somewhere better? Or had I betrayed my friends, family, and myself by coming to this cold, rainy place? Questions I don't have the answer to still, but they don't bother me as much. After all, I have embraced my new identity. The immigrant, the mutt, the vagrant, a person with no home whom you mistrust by default. Differences are always despised. Part 2. It's called Gone. Everyone talks about how high the prices are in London. No one talks about the price you pay coming here. The loss and the losing of yourself. The manager looking over your shoulder. The white hair at 25 and the heart attack at 30 from too much blow, bad living, shit pay, and the women. It's always the women. Everyone talks about the new life, making yourself better, achieving something. No one talks about the person you lose in the process. The shame in readjusting, giving up yourself for who you ought to be. Everyone talks about how Soho is the party center of London. No one talks about the drunks and the mad there, the ones who couldn't quite make the cut. I look at them and I don't see much difference between their one failed relationship away, one misstep in the morning that led to you missing work, then the rent, and so on until complete ruin. Everyone talks about rights and liberties. No one talks about the price you must pay to earn them. As if they're just there for you for free, as if we're something more than numbers in a giant tax-generating machine. Everyone talks how many of us there are here. No one talks of the loneliness one can only get in London. Living with 3 people in a house you barely know and talk to, the hallway conversations that everyone tries to run away from, the distance between us. Part 3, home. Going back home gets more difficult each year, partly because it's no longer home, partly because of you. The places you used to go no longer bring you the same feeling, just nostalgia and a feeling of loss. After a day or two, you wonder why you came back. What were you going to find here? The answer to life? Yeah, right. So it's the bars again, the sleepless nights, the easy women, the familiar. Something to hold on to. Waking up is the same, again and again until one day it isn't, and everything's different. Realizing you've grown, but you've also aged. Perhaps outgrown home. The home you long for, the place which haunted your dreams for the last year. It's different now. Then maybe it's just you who's different. Maybe just you. This one's called lethargy. I've got one happy one. I'll read it at the end and that'll be it. But otherwise, they're all pretty depressing. So strap yourself in, boys and girls. So this one's called lethargy. Life moves too slow. Milk goes off too quick. Women who love are rare, and the ones who don't, too many. People who are genuine are far in between, and deceit is encouraged. Laughter from the heart is scarce, and disparity too frequent. The hospitals are too full. Parking enforcement officers too many. Bankers too numerous. And real artists too few. A good deal of nights in which I think of ending it all, and not nearly enough days of bliss. Working goes on forever, and winter goes on forever, and summer passes in the blink of an eye. You only work and sleep, yet can't afford anything and always feel tired. Rents never stop going up, yet the wages stay the same. Survival is luxury. Death is the cheaper alternative. There are far too many dead men on the street, and too few are amongst the living. Education is business, work literal more than slavery. Freedom is a carrot on a stick, and servitude guaranteed. The hairs in my nose grow faster than those on my chin, and I take too long in the shower. Life moves too slow until it doesn't and passes you by. Thank you.
It'll be fun.
This one's called Searching. Ooh, it's almost called fire. It's not gonna be a Amersham art performance if something fucked up doesn't happen. Knock on wood. Alright. It's usually me tumbling down, but as I said, tonight I'm sober. So, this one's called Searching for Bobby Fischer. Don't ask me why. I was bored with the bar, bored with the half-hour stove, bored with being someone else. Being around people in groups wasn't nice. You couldn't be honest, and the strangest things were always said. It could make your head spin trying to think of why. I didn't want to make the small talk, meet new people, or talk about someone's shirt or their ex. All I wanted to do was sit in my small room with the lights out and the sound of airplanes going by. It was enough. A cat was scratching its claws on a piece of wood, and the dying fox was still coughing on the way home. The fucker would outlive us all. This next one is called The Devil Shitting in My Bushes. And it's about addiction and getting free from addiction as well. I sit and wait. Next time will be my last. I'm a hair away from hell, and I feel the walls closing in as if to finally get me. The fox outside gives me a dirty look, and it knows. I'm one fader away from sure damnation, and it's as if its mean eyes are saying, I see you there, one more slip and that's it, you son of a bitch. You've shot all your bullets, you've played all your cards, and you're all out of aces. One more chance is all you're gonna get. Cold shivers run down my spine, and I chase the mangy devil away and lay on the bed. Sleep doesn't come. Alright, okay, so I'll end on something positive. Thanks for listening, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for everyone tonight. Alright, this one's called Not Bad. Unopened letters pile up in a dusty corner, reminding me I'm behind on this bill or that payment. I pay them no mind. They can sue me, they can take me for all I've got. But I've got little. Sleep comes easy. Dreams find me almost every night, of places far away, trusty companions, and Cuban cigars smoked on beaches with the sun setting upon me. I wake up alone, the women are all but gone. Tied up with some new lover, moved to God knows where, or gone mad. I stretch unhampered, my bed is spacious. I wake up free from the hold of expectant lovers. Time is mine alone, and for once it feels like it's on my side. Life's good. The afternoons are faced head on. I'm able to taste my meals. I look in the mirror, my gut keeps growing. The cigarettes mean something, and sometimes the sun shines through the gray. Evenings come and the phone doesn't ring. If it does, I rarely answer. Slumber finds me easy, usually asleep under some book. Life's good. Thank you. I want to say a big thank you to a person who did the impossible tonight. She and both my roommates, Ander and Anna, they did the impossible by making these pants work. Thank you guys. And yeah, to end it on this, thank you so much.